Guys, welcome back to the channel. So today my video is going to review this gentleman's portfolio. He tells me he has FBKFX, FBCGX, and also FXAIX. I'm going to review all three of these for him, but I'm also going to show you better alternatives that he could be investing in because there is some overlap and his expense ratios are high. All right, so let's start with the first one, Fidelity 500 Index Fund. This is excellent. I personally hold this in all of my retirement accounts. I'm wondering if these funds are in his retirement account because the expense ratios on the other two are high, but let's get into this one, FXAIX. This is an excellent choice. This is one of my main holdings in my 401ks. And here you can see we have that 0.015% expense ratio. I've made many videos on S&P 500. I think this is a great choice. What I want to highlight though real quick, just so you can see when I go to the other sectors, information technology is 31% within the S&P 500. And your top 10 holdings, I want you to focus on this. NVIDIA is 6.65%, Apple is 7%, and Microsoft is 6%. Excellent choice, great diversification. I think you're doing a great job. This is a great way to start your portfolio. But let's talk about this now. Now we have the Fidelity Growth Company K6 Fund. I'm going to review this real quick and show you the overlap, and then I'm going to show you another alternative that you could be investing in. So let's look at the summary real quick because you got to see what is the goal here. The goal is large growth. So when you look at large growth, it is focusing mainly on technology. You can see 47% of this fund is in tech stocks. So that's great. Now you got to see what are we actually investing in. So let's look at the composition here and what constitutes a 0.5% expense ratio because you are paying $4.50 for every $1,000 compared to your S&P 500 that was 0.015%, which is 15 cents per every $1,000. This is $4.50 per every 1,000, which will eat away at your returns in the long term. So let's go through the composition real quick. We reviewed the technology of 47%, but look at NVIDIA. You are at 16.15% is all within NVIDIA. So this fund, the top 10 holdings are NVIDIA, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Google, and Lilly and Google. 8 out of 10 of these are all within the S&P 500 with a really high concentration in NVIDIA. So you have your FXAIX that has 6%, and then you also have NVIDIA that has 16%. So your funds are 21 to 22% allocated just to NVIDIA. So I just want to bring that up to you just so you're aware, because that is definitely a very concentrated risk if you are holding long term. But the bright side of this, when you go on the summary, this is an active fund. So they can make changes. If NVIDIA doesn't perform and Amazon starts stepping it up or Meta, they can make changes and switch that fund. But you are paying a high expense ratio for this. What I want you to notice, look at the composition on the top 10 holdings. And if this isn't in a 401k, look at this option. I mainly invest in FSPGX, which is similar thing, large cap growth index fund, but you are getting, look at this expense ratio, 0.035%. And that expense ratio is 35 cents per every $1,000 compared to your $4.50. And what I want you to notice is look at the composition. It's very similar. You have Apple, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google, Eli Lilly, and Google. So you have 7 out of 10 that are the same companies within the fund, making up 58% of this total portfolio with a greater diversification of 399 holdings. And NVIDIA, instead of being 16% or 6%, you have 11% towards NVIDIA, 11% towards Apple. So you're getting the big dogs, but about a 10% allocation to the top 3, which puts you at least a lesser concentration risk. So I would definitely look into that and compare your holdings of FGKFX compared to the FSPGX, and you will see a difference. Lastly, let's look at his last one, which is Fidelity's Blue Chip Growth K6 Fund, FBCGX. And when you look at the snapshot of this, it's another 0.45% expense ratio, which is $4.50. Now, sometimes you can justify these expense ratios But there's a few red flags here. Look at the turnover rate. The turnover rate is 17%. That's very high. Then your expense ratio, which is 0.45%. And then look at your asset allocation. Again, NVIDIA, 14.25%. So you have three funds, and I'm going to put them side by side so you can see. Take a look at all three together just to show the concentration risk. Here is FXAIX's S&P 500, which is an excellent balance where you have NVIDIA and Apple being 6% and 7%. Next, you have his other growth fund, the FGKFX, where NVIDIA makes up 16%, Apple makes up 7%. Next, you have his other growth fund, the blue chip, FBCGX, where NVIDIA makes up 14% and Apple makes up 5%. If this isn't a 401k, I can understand why you have so much overlap, but I would definitely consider consolidating. Because look, you have three funds. NVIDIA makes up 14% of this one, 16% of this one, and then 6% of this one. So that is almost a 38% asset concentration risk that you already have towards just NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA has been doing great, so I'm sure your portfolio is rocking and doing awesome and justifying those expense ratios. But you definitely have to be careful because you can see Apple as well is making it almost 5.5, 7%. That's 12 plus 6 to 7. You're at 19% of Apple risk as well. So your three funds make up 38% NVIDIA, Apple already almost at 18%, 19%. So definitely something to consider. I hope you enjoyed today's video, just reviewing somebody else's portfolio. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a YouTuber. But if you feel like you learned something and you want your portfolio reviewed, click on WAP and you can personally get your portfolio reviewed by me. You can directly chat with me about stocks, chart levels, and trades. And you can see my YouTube portfolio. It's right up here in this tab as well. It gives you full access to my buys, my sells. And overall, if you want to check, I have Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube where this video was posted. And this WAP is for beginners, day traders, swing traders, and those seeking a community where you can chat with me. It costs $5 a month. If you want to check it out, feel free. Appreciate you tuning in.